Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Buongiorno. Buongiorno. Good morning. Grab your seats. Good morning. Boy, you guys look great. You guys look great. Grab your seats, please. Shh. Are you ready for day 2? All right. Looks like you must have enjoyed day 1. Well, welcome. We're glad you're here. You know, Mike's retirement conversation, that got me thinking yesterday. Did you enjoy that video he showed? Can you picture Mike doing any of those things? No, me either. But his video really got me thinking. You know, I get that Mike Ferry is 73 years old now. I get that. I get that he's a little bit grayer, but you know, to tell you the truth, I still think he's pretty good at what he does. Yeah. In fact, I think Mike is better now than when I saw him 15 years ago for the first time. What do you think? Yeah. I mean, we really have to ask ourselves, do we really ever want Mike Ferry to retire? Honestly, shouldn't we be begging him to stay? Yeah. I mean, who's going to host these events if Mike decides to stop? All right, so listen, yesterday when Mike said, when it comes to his retirement, he said the decision is not up to us. But I think we should vote. I think we should vote. All right, so listen, if you think Mike should hang it up, throw in the towel, you know, step down, pull the plug. If you think Mike should hang it up, make some noise. Well, there's 2 of them. Mike said there's 6 competitors in the room. I guess we heard from them. Right? But if you think that he should stick around and guide us and teach us and hold us accountable and keep up the good work that he's doing, make some noise. Well, let's welcome Mr. Mike Ferry.
Thank you. I hate that. You know, it's funny because everybody does things for recognition, and I do it for money. and I'm always embarrassed. And you know, like when Ron says those kind of things and people say nice things, but it's just, that's why I just walked out, because it's hard for me to accept all that stuff. Because I just feel like my job is to do this and your job is to do what you're supposed to do. And as long as we do it, you're going to get the personal recognition you want and satisfaction, and you're going to make a lot of money in the process. So thank you, Ron. I told Ron a joke yesterday, and at first I don't think he fully appreciated it. Then he started laughing. Anybody here ever play golf or attempt to play golf? So we're playing with our neighbors down in Naples, Florida. Yasmin, you know, of course, Bob and Sally Summerall, and Bob hit a terrible golf shot. But Bob's not a good golfer, so we don't expect a lot of great golf shots. And Sally said, Bob just hit a son-in-law shot. And I said, what is a son-in-law shot? She goes, well, it's not exactly what you wanted, but it's what you got. So I told that to Ron at dinner, and he started to look at me. And then he said, oh, okay, I got it. Okay. So Ron, wherever you are, thank you for those kind words. I want to quickly, and I didn't do this yesterday on purpose because I wanted to make sure that the room was full. I want to ask all of our coaching clients just to stand up for a moment, okay? And on behalf of the Mike Ferry organization, whoa, gosh, there's a lot of you. I want to say thank you, and I want everybody that's standing and sitting to give those that are standing a nice round of applause. Okay? Thank you. Okay? We appreciate you a lot. So thank you for participating. I also want to recognize the fact that if it wasn't for about 250 people sitting on my left and right and another 100 sitting in the audience, which are the broker, owners, and managers of the companies that we're lucky enough to work with, because there's a lot of people after them all the time to be their training device, training company, training influence. If it wasn't for them, we would not have a lot of you participating in our seminars. So I'd like everybody out here to give them a big round of applause. Okay? Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay? We have a wonderful group that comes from Europe, okay, each year to our retreat. I'd like all of our European clients to stand up. There's a bus. Give them a big round of applause. Hey, that's right. Now, remain standing, remain standing. One thing about our great group, especially the Italians, they're a little on the expressive side, okay? So hats off to all of you, and thank you for coming all the way from Switzerland, Albania, Bulgaria, France, Italy, etc. We're glad you're here, so thank you all, okay? If I do decide to cut back on the schedule that I keep, which my wife says every day, we got to cut back on the schedule. I said, I don't know how to cut back on the schedule. I've been doing this for 43 years at a certain pace. I don't know how to go slower. So I'm going to attempt. Thank you for being here. See, that doesn't work. You know, I mean, that's a bunch of crap. Now, if you really pay attention to what we do in Europe, I don't know, I think Tiziano probably does about 40 to 60 3- and 4-day events a year. We do 30 to 40 in the US and Canada. We're soon going to be doing at least 2 a year, we, meaning me, in Russia, and Vladimir will be doing another 20 a year in Russia. I don't do a lot of those events. I do mostly what I call the bigger events. So I'm going to ask you to take a piece of paper. So this will help some of you understand what I'm trying to accomplish. So I'm going to give you 8 sets of dates that I want you to write down. And these are major MFO events where I will be the one leading the event. So let's write number 1, September 17, 18, and 19. September 17, 18, and 19. Put next to it, production retreat in Rome, Italy. That's the ones from Ireland that are cheering, okay? Now, for all of our North American friends, we've made a big decision this year. We've always done our production retreat in January in San Diego. We try to do it there all the time. The next time it'll be here in Las Vegas because the hotel changed management. You're going to love this. And then they canceled all the contracts with all the people that were booked to come in. And they did it by mistake, but guess what? So the production retreat this next year will be here instead of in San Diego. But what we're doing now is we're going to do a production retreat, not counting Europe or not counting Russia, every year in January, again in March, April in Toronto, and then in October on the East Coast. So we'll be doing that event 3 times a year to allow our East Coast friends and customers not to always have to travel to the West. So let me give you the next date, okay? The next date is October 29, 30, 31, production retreat in Washington, D.C., which we're excited about because the Bellagio just built a beautiful new casino hotel on the river in D.C., and we have not personally seen it, but the friends that have been there said it's spectacular. So we're going to do our next event there. Excuse me, January 14, 15, and 16. January 14, 15, and 16. Production Retreat in Las Vegas. And that is, of course, 2019, okay? Number 4, March 26, 27, 28, 29. March 26, 27, 28, and 29, Superstar Retreat in beautiful Sorrento, Italy, which is spectacular, okay? How many of you have ever been to Sorrento, Italy? Truly one of the most beautiful places in the world, okay? And Tiziano has been very, very kind to all of us for the last 5 years. Any of our North American friends that come to one of his events, there's no fee and you're given an upfront seat for free. He really does accommodate us very nicely. So hopefully some of you will come at some point, okay? Number five, April 9 and 10. And this is for my friends on my left and right. Management Retreat East. And for all of our friends sitting in front of me, if we could ever get some of your broker managers to actually attend one of these events, they would actually find out we're trying to help them, help you. But they, you know, they're pretty closed-minded, except for the good ones, okay? Management Retreat East in Orlando, Florida, which is where we're going to hold it for the next few years. Then number 6, April 16, 17, and 18. This is one of the events that I look forward to probably as much as anything I do every year, okay? And I've done this now for about 8 or 9 years. It is a production retreat slash, we call it up there a mini retreat, but it's a production retreat in Toronto. It is, folks, if you want to have a fun time, and Sylvia, a lot of you participate, we will have in the room any place from say 1,000 to 1,500 great people. And we'll have 75 to 80 nationalities intermixed, chatting, talking, you know, thinking about, sharing ideas. It is, to me, the most fun event I do every year because you get such an incredible melting pot of great people from all over the world in one room. I think our event is better than the United Nations, okay? Because we get along, which is a new, you know. Number 7, May 8 and 9. May 8 and 9, Management Retreat West. And that will be again in Huntington Beach, California, which is where we've done it the last 12, 15 years. Number 8, July 9, 10, 11, 12. July 9, 10, 11, 12, Superstar Retreat. Obviously Las Vegas, back to the Venetian Palazzo for the next 3 or 4 years. I'm hoping the guys upstairs hear that, okay? Because they need to hear that, okay? And then number 9, September 16, 17, and 18, Production Retreat in Rome, Italy. So that's the major, what we call big events. And that's ones where I am committing my time, energy, and thoughts to all of our attendees. In addition, between Tiziano, what Vladimir is going to be doing, what we do, there's another probably in between Europe and Russia and the US, and Canada, there's probably another 80 or 90 events. So if you like what we do, pay attention because they're always being updated and listed on our website. Okay, we stopped yesterday on number 11. I have a long list of what I call the steps that are required to go to the next level of listing property. And as I said to you guys and gals yesterday, some of the steps might be in your mind a little bit, well, Mike, I've been doing that forever. Now, I remember seeing Zig Ziglar speak, and it was quite an event. If you can picture, Pat McVeigh, my broker, when I started in real estate 100 years ago, somehow invited Zig Ziglar to come to our office and do a 3-hour seminar for 9 people. Now, Zig Ziglar is probably one of the most famous motivational speakers in the history of our country. And Zig shows up at our office, okay? And we're just sitting in a circle and he talks to us for 3 hours. And it was so stimulating. I mean, I could hardly stay in my chair. And he actually, I remember he said, anybody here listen to cassettes? I said, how many do you have with you? He said, well, I said, I'll buy them all, okay? Because that was my thought process on self-improvement. Well, Zig made a comment. He said to us, and I remember it plain as day, I'll bet some of you don't like prospecting, do you? And we all kind of went, you know, we try. He said, do you like showering? We said, well, of course. He said, well, if you only shower on the days you prospect, you're probably going to stink. And I remember looking, I went, well, you know what, that's true, okay? So, yes, some of the stuff that I brought up yesterday, you've heard 150 times, and as long as I'm up here, you'll hear it 150 more times. But some of this stuff you have to put into your plan to go from 25 to 50 or from 50 to 100 transactions, listings taken. So let's go to point 12. That's where we stopped yesterday, okay? Was it 11? Okay, good. We'll go to point 11. Just checking on you, by the way. Make sure you're okay. Number 11, do you have an answer to each objection that they give you? Do you have an answer to each objection that they give you? It's an interesting thing because we talk about it all the time. I mean, one of the most common conversations that I have with our clients is their responses to the client. Because see, I think probably 90% of the sale, when you're with a potential listing for the first time, face-to-face, 90% of the sale depends upon your response to what they say. I was talking to a wonderful young man on the stage 20, 30 minutes ago. And I don't know where you're sitting, so I can't point you out. But tall, strong, physically intimidating, dressed sharp as a tack. I have a problem, and I can't overcome it. My business is going in the tank. I'm following everything you say. I'm doing all the prospecting. I don't know what the problem is. I do. I said, you can't behave like that. Like what? Like that. What do you mean? Well, he said, should I spend more time building relationships? I said, no, spend more time taking Valium. Okay? Because you're so strong physically, mentally, naturally, that you actually put people off. Watch. People give objections because they have a concern for what you've said. People give objections when they have a question about something you've brought up that they don't understand. So it's our ability to respond to what they say that brings them to our side. So on point number 11, you need to really put a check mark next to number 11. Because if we don't have a positive, straightforward response to what they say to us, they're going to list with somebody else. Because, as I said, every day on the tour this year, today, the best agents are all after the same listings. Now, yes, you're better, dramatically better than most. You're better, you guys, way better than most. Most of you are heads and shoulders above the competition. However, your competition that you're going against today is better than it was 5 years or 10 years ago. Why? Because fewer people are taking listings and they're all learning the process better. So if you're not a lot better than what they do, you're going to probably get lost. So your ability to respond instantly is critically important. Number 12. Which prospecting techniques bring me the most listings? Which prospecting techniques bring me the most listings? And we're going to talk about that tomorrow, by the way, okay? Which prospecting techniques bring me the most listings? We asked 100 of our top clients that really do big volume, what prospecting techniques do you use? And they submitted them to us. And I want to go through them with you tomorrow because I think you'll be caught a little off guard. Everybody say why. Because we all think they're doing something exotic. And what they're doing is the basic fundamentals of selling. But the biggest thing they're doing is they're actually doing prospecting. There wasn't one of the 10 people up here, except for Robert Villanueva, who just wouldn't open his mouth and talk to us. Every one of them prospects all the time. Isn't that interesting? So now it's a combination of the activity and then who you're doing the activity with. And I have talked to some of you, probably a dozen in the last 24 hours. I prospect 4 hours every day. Okay, tell me what kind of prospecting. I cold call. I mean, if you want to get frustrated, and if you want to get rejected, and you want to make sure your life is miserable, spend 4 hours a day just cold calling. And then one of you said, and I use a double headset. Well, good, now you can get rejected and screwed up twice as fast. I mean, how dumb is that? Watch. Past clients, centers of influence, for sale by owners, which are popping up all over North America, expired listings, which are coming back in droves. Everybody say why? Because we spent so much time overpricing listings the last 2 years, the listings are expiring. Well, mine aren't expiring. You don't have any. It takes listings to have expirations. Just listed, just sold. There's so many things that can bring a more positive response than, for example, just a cold call. What prospecting techniques do you use? And then I wrote down, put them in the order of importance. Okay, which brings you the highest response? Susan, we've had this conversation several hundred times. And which ones drive you crazy and you can't get a response? And why are the ones that are driving you crazy that you get no response the ones you're doing all the time? I mean, if you're into self-abuse, that's one issue, okay? But if you're not into self-abuse, get over that. All right, let's go to point 13. Now we're going to take a little different approach to adding 25 to 50 to 75 to 100 listings. There are 3 types of schedules that agents commonly use. 3 different Elena schedules that agents commonly use. So let's write down A, B, and C. A, B, and C. And A would be a listing-oriented schedule. A listing-oriented schedule. All right, a listing-oriented schedule is going to be very defined. And what we fight the most is definition. Everybody say why? Because we're independent contractors. And when I get to talk to Tracy every week, to Neil every week, and the same battle takes place, you're trying to guide them and they're fighting you. And they can fight you because they're independent contractors. Rip that stupid label off your forehead and create a strong listing-oriented schedule which revolves around role play and practice, obviously being involved in lead generation, lead follow-up, pre-qualifying, preparing for listing appointments, going on appointments, following up on the appointments you've been on, servicing the listings you have. Can you imagine if you did that for 8 hours each day? Would your production go up or down? It would go through the roof. That song, There Ain't No Mountain High Enough, wouldn't be a loud enough and high enough song for you. Your production would be so big. Now think about this. Role play and practice, lead generation, lead follow-up, pre-qualifying, going on appointments, following up on the appointments that you didn't get a listing on, doing the administration of your transactions, making sure that you're starting over again every day. My gosh, folks, this center group right here, this center group, you would outproduce certain states in productivity if you had a listing-oriented schedule. But let's go to letter B. A buyer-oriented schedule. And that revolves around some level of pre-qualifying, but mostly previewing property, whether it be online or in person. And then probably a couple times a week, actually physically putting a person in your car. The nice part about a buyer-oriented schedule, you get a lot of free time. And what you don't want is free time, because free time doesn't pay well. And then I wrote down C, a normal agent schedule. And that schedule is where you do nothing most of the time and are still tired. It's an interesting schedule, isn't it? You do nothing almost any of the time and you're exhausted. Folks, I want you to be exhausted from the energy you expend taking listings, because the energy you expend avoiding taking listings is the same energy you spend taking listings. Okay, now thank you for those that are shaking their head, because some of you got that. Now listen, you're going to spend a certain amount of energy every day in real estate, yes or no? Yes. The energy is going to be spent, S-P-E-N-T, period. Do you want it to be spent in production or in sitting? It's going to be spent, because spending all day avoiding doing what you're supposed to do takes as much energy as actually doing what you're supposed to do. So I wrote down this question. Which of these three schedules do you generally follow? So circle A, B, or C. And if you're in doubt, circle A. Number 14. This you have heard 5,000 times, so this will be 5,001. There are three primary activities I have to be involved in to list property. Three primary activities. Now, I always refer back to my broker, Pat McVeigh, because Pat McVeigh was a tyrant. And in today's society, I mean, I have to tell you, Pat passed away just about a year and a half ago, unfortunately. And he was great. And I talk about him all the time because I have so much respect for who he was and what he did. But if he was a broker today, he would be in jail. Everybody say why? Because all of you would get mad and report him to somebody, and you'd go on social media and you'd make so much noise because he was a tyrant. Either you did what he said or he threw you out of the office. And I mean, picked you up and threw you out of the office. I mean, Pat McVeigh would actually walk up and whack you right on the side of the head if you didn't do what he said. I mean, he would physically abuse you. Now, some of you are saying, okay. No, I'm talking about whap. But Pat was tough, but he was mean. He was nasty. But he was kind and wonderful and supportive, inspirational, motivational, working every day to improve the performance of all of us. Well, you see, that's their job with all of us, or that's our job with all of you, or that's your job with the person in the mirror, yes or no? Yes. So I don't care what anybody says, if you're not involved in these three activities, you're never going to take a lot of listings unless a builder is building an 80-unit complex and gives you the listing, which is one listing, not 80. Unless you decide to build 10 homes yourself and appoint yourself as listing agent, and you'll probably cut your own commission, okay? So forget the screwed up deals, let's look at reality, A, B, and C. And I want you to write A this way: continuous conversations with people. Continuous conversations with people. Call it anything you want. So at the tour this year, George, you were at one of our tour events. I had fun. I said, okay, everybody write down the word prospecting, and you could see the audience, because they hate it when I talk about prospecting. And I said to them, I've been talking about prospecting for 43 years, and you hate me for it, you hate you for it, but you hate you and I more than anything else because we want you to prospect. So what I want you to do is cross the word prospecting out of your notes. And they all went, what? I said, cross it off. I said, about 5 years ago, I started talking about lead generation. It has a nicer tone. What are you doing today? Lead generation. What are you doing? Prospecting. Oh, I don't want to prospect. I'm involved in lead generation. But I said I had to give up talking about that because everybody figured out it was prospecting, so then I said cross off lead generation. And then write down the word conversation. And they all went, oh, conversation, yeah. I said, your job is to be involved in conversations with people, yes or no? Yes. How many people a day do you have to be in a conversation with to get a listing? See, you need to know the answer to that question. How many people a day do you have to be in a conversation with? Well, what kind of people? How about people. Watch. People when you're in line at the grocery store, people from the cleaners, people when you're at the car wash, people when you're wandering around through life. Talking to people, yes or no? And I shared this with some of you. Probably 20% of you heard this. But it happened in early May. Juan, it was weird. This young man walks up to me, probably 35, 6 foot tall, 180 pounds, dressed like a tack, but he walks up to me with his head down and says, "Can I talk to you?" So I look down at the ground. I'm trying to figure out what's on the ground. I said, "Yeah, what are you looking for?" He said, "I want to talk to you." I said, "I'm up here." And I actually took his chin and raised it up. Then he went, "Oh." So what's the matter with you? He said, "Well, I have to tell you, I'm an introvert. I don't like people. I can't talk to people. I'm shy. I'm so inward, I don't even like to be standing talking to you now. And I don't know what to do." I said, "Well, would you take my advice if I told you?" He said, "Yes, sir, I'll take your advice. Quit real estate." You know what he said? "You're so negative." I said, "Well, let me ask you a question. Do you think you can list and sell property without talking to people?" "No." "If I quit, what will I do?" I said, "Get a job at a cemetery." Acres of expireds. He didn't get it. Okay, then I go to letter B on the 3 primary activities. Write the word aggressive. Aggressive lead follow-up. So I'm going to ask all of you an interesting question. How much money are you losing annually because you're not aggressively following up on your leads? Interesting, isn't it? So I would bet in a room with this many phenomenal real estate people, I would say if we lose 25 to 30,000 a year each, times 4,000, is that a lot of money, yes or no? All right, now folks, you got to get clear on something, and I say this every day. If somebody gives you their name and number and says, "We're thinking about selling our home," that is a signal. And some of you didn't get it. Watch. Is that a sign that they want to do something, yes or no? Yes. That maybe they're considering selling their home, yes or no? Yes. And they're giving you an opportunity to take care of that transaction for them, yes or no? Or in essence, they want to give you a check. How many are adverse to commission checks? Who wants more of them? Folks, Pat McVeigh would get upset with me at times because he would say to me, "I've listened to you in the office. You're too aggressive following up on your leads." I said, "Well, Pat, we only got 30 agents in the office, and about 7 of them are all doing 100 deals a year, and this was 1970. Paul Callahan, Betty, these people are aggressive. I got to get aggressive here." He said, "Well, can you be not quite so aggressive?" I said, "I got to be more aggressive. Because if I don't get the listing, it goes to one of the other guys in the office. And that's a commission check, and I want that commission check." Pat would say, "Oh, God, I don't know if there's any hope for you at all." See, my attitude was this. You say to me, "I'm thinking about selling my home." I move into your house that day, and I stay until we list it. Because my first question, how many bedrooms and bath? 4. Any bedrooms not being used? 1. I'll be in that bedroom until you list. Yes or no? My standard question when I would call a lead, "Steve, what time Friday at 4 o'clock should we get together?" "Well, I don't know. How about Friday at 4? Sounds good to me." Now watch. Aggressive is simply a characteristic that we can develop if we have a goal that is up here to list a lot of homes to make a lot of money. And then letter C, strong pre-qualifying. And we talked about that yesterday, and we're going to talk about it tomorrow. And we're going to talk about it right till the day I stop talking. Everybody say why? Because you can't afford to be highly productive and waste a lot of your time. You just can't do that. Now, if your goal is to do 10 deals a year, I am so happy that you're here. And I'm thrilled that you've allowed yourself to meet all these great people and expand your mind. But I mean, 10 deals a year? We're only talking about one every 45 days. That means you're wasting most of your time, yes or no? So let's go to number 15. Committing to internalizing all of your scripts. If I want to be a great listing agent, committing to internalizing the scripts. We have a wonderful long-term client, Pam Jones. I don't know where Pam's sitting. Pam, where are you? You're here somewhere, and I apologize if I can't see you. Oh, there she is. Pam walks up to me. Can I share what you said to me last night? Because then I want to tell you what I said to Sabrina after you shared this with me. She walks up. Now, she's been just a wonderful client in Washington, D.C. area for us with 20-some years. Pam walks up and said, "Can I tell you about a dream I had last night?" "I'm not sure." Because you were in it. I'm old and my last name is Ferry, stay back, okay? She said, "I dreamt that you collapsed on the stage and I walked up and Serena gave me your notes and I did the last 3 days of the retreat." I love you for that, okay? I said to Serena afterwards, "Was that a dream or a nightmare?" Okay? Well, now watch. If you look at this point carefully, how could you get up here and do what I do for 4 days if it wasn't internalized? It would be impossible, okay? It would be impossible. You know, in sports, they call it muscle memory. Whatever that sport is, you've got your body and your mind working in conjunction with your muscles to do a certain thing so you don't have to think about it. Can you imagine a professional golfer having to think about their golf swing? They would never complete one. Because there's, 1,900 different muscles in the body used in a golf swing. All right, muscle number 1, get into this position. Number 2, over there. Number 3, here. 4, 5, 6. My God, the tournament would be done on Sunday and the guy'd still be on the first tee. But that's how real estate people are. You've got to internalize. Now, watch. You're never going to be me. And I'm saying that as a blessing to you. But you can be a lot better you if you take what we have taught and internalize it to make it you. Because I hear this every day. "Well, I don't want to sound like you." Okay, I don't want to sound like you. We're even. Now, where are we going to go from here? You got to do a better job at internalizing the scripts so it's automatic. It becomes conversational. Okay, so let's see if any of you remember this one. Okay? I want you to cut your commission. See, no, I got a couple of people just at the end of it started to say it because they hadn't heard it before. But 90% of you, it was just automatic, yes or no? Yes. Okay? Here's the example I like to give people all the time, which makes some people mad or uncomfortable. Everything has to be so canned that you don't think. So I'll use this example. Ladies, do you remember when you used to cook? Now some of you go, "What is cooking?" It's a place where you go to eat. It's called a restaurant. Watch, you had a recipe, yes or no? Yes. When you tie your tie, you don't have to sit there and say, "Okay, You just tie your tie. When you comb your hair, it's automatic. Put on your makeup, it's automatic. Your response, your skill, your pre-qualifying has to be so natural, they don't even realize they're being pre-qualified. You know, Mary, before I see you guys on Tuesday, there's just a couple of thoughts I have in my head. Do you mind if I bring them up right now to you? Sure, what are they? Well, first of all, you know, if you guys feel comfortable and confident on Tuesday when I see you that I can get your home sold, are you guys planning on listing with me? Well, we don't know. Okay, no problem. Do you have other agents you're going to be talking to? Well, yes, we're going to talk to Lenny and Valerie and Hal. Well, you've picked 3 good people next to me. That's great. And tell me again, where are you folks moving to? Well, we brought that up. We want to go from Los Angeles to San Diego. And when do you want to be there? How soon? Well, we'd like to be there by Christmas time. Okay, great, no problem. And what price are you going to tell me you want to list your home for when I see you? Well, you're the real estate agent, you should tell us. Well, you know, as a professional realtor, I study homes and prices every day. Therefore, I know exactly what your home should sell for. What price won't you go below? Well, we won't go below $550,000. Thank you for that. And what do you guys owe on the property? Well, that's kind of a personal question you're asking. Well, I know, but I can't help you get the money out until I know what you owe, so I can tell you what you're going to get out. How much do you owe? Well, we owe $200,000. Now, did that sound too canned? It's very natural, yes or no? And it, thank you. And that was my first time I've ever done it. Let's go to point 16, okay? And I want you to listen to the first part, don't write it down. To move to the next listing level, now I want you to write down, you have to overcome complacency. You have to overcome complacency. I remember 15 years ago, I was with a lot of you in San Diego, and I said to you that I believe complacency, along with the lack of versatility, is the biggest thing keeping you from being productive. And then Sabrina brought something up last night, which I thought was great. She said, you know, you have to also, Mike, remind them, it's the story they keep telling themselves about what they can and cannot do that keeps them from moving to the next level. Because do we tell ourselves stories, yes or no? Okay? So yesterday on the stage, which many of you got to experience it in the front, they had this section here set at 62 degrees. That's cold. In fact, they had the blowers on so strong that my papers kept blowing off the table. And the hotel kept saying, well, we can't do anything about it. I said, well, usually a blower switch has off, on, and something in between. Go in between. No, we can't do that. I said, sure you can. Well, we fought with them yesterday, last night, this morning, and then somebody said, oh, we found the switch. Are you a former realtor? Now watch. Complacency is when you're, see, they're so satisfied with having us here that that's about the end of the service, okay? And I'm sorry to say that, but that's what hotels do. Once they get you, they got you. You know, I'm into them for a couple $1 million for this event, so they've already been paid. So now they're looking at the next one. Quit looking at the next one and find out how to do this one better. And you're gonna make a lot of what? Every time, okay? But I want you to think about this. We don't look for the next one because we're happy with what we have. We're satisfied. It's called complacency, the disease of the human spirit. It kills more people than cancer or heart failure because you die while you're alive. Floyd Wickman wrote a phenomenal book in the early 80s. I love this book. You probably will never find it online, so don't worry about it, okay? But the book was titled, hell, Dead at 36, Buried at 62. You know, it's a story of some realtors that stopped learning at 36 and were mad by 62 when the business finally left them. That's called complacency. Here's what I want you to write down. What's the next big thing in my business and my life? What's the next big thing in my business and my life? What is that thing that rings my bell, turns me on, gets me excited? I can't wait for this to happen. I received last night an email. I won't mention any of the parties involved. And it virtually was one of those little experiences that makes a big difference. One of our great broker clients said, one of her agents, you know, they have some pretty nice stores to shop in these big fancy hotels, okay? And you know, there's right outside the door of the atrium is a Rolex store. And we've bought several Rolexes in that store for Sabrina and I. In fact, 12, 14 years ago, we went in and bought some really nice gold Rolexes, his and hers, and those were our presents to ourselves for bringing our company to Las Vegas. We wanted to have a Las Vegas watch, okay? Big and gaudy, Las Vegas, okay? So one of our customers in this room was in the store window shopping, which I think is great. Go look at things that you'd love to have and then figure out a plan to get them into your life. And one of our clients in coaching was in that store and very casually said, "Are you in coaching?" "No, I'm not." And he said, "Well, may I ask why?" And she said, "Well, I'm a single lady with a couple of kids and I'm trying to build my business." And he said, "Well, let's do this. I'd like to pay for your first 2 months of coaching and get you started right now." And signed her right up, and she's now in coaching. Somebody else paid for her coaching. I mean, you know what? Now, granted, 80% of you didn't get it, but that's because you're complacent. You can't go pay for somebody's coaching for a couple of months and be complacent. You have to be thinking outside. Now, some of you are going to say, could you introduce me to that guy? No. Okay, I don't even know who it was, but I want to say thank you for not being complacent. What is the next big thing in your life, personally and in business, that is going to drive you out of complacency so you can go do everything we're talking about so you can take 25 to 50 more listings per year for the next couple of years? Because if you don't have it, you ain't going to get it. Number 17. Since there will always be something or somebody trying to take you off your schedule, let's start with that thought. Since there will always be somebody or something trying to take you off your schedule, keep your listing goal in front of you at all times, because that's what will keep you motivated. 20-some years ago, we actually took and created, a little bigger than your notebook, an actual stop sign. And some of you still have those stop signs, okay? And it was fun. We sent them to all of our clients, a stop sign. And it was, red with a black trim, stop. And we said, put it on your desk, put it in your office, so when agents walk up to distract you from your job, just point to the sign, and they'll get the message. Is life full of distractions, yes or no? Yes. All the time? Yes. Every day? Yes. Almost every hour? Yes. Every minute? Yes. I mean, you can't do anything. It's just called life, all right? There are certain things that are going to take you off, or certain people take you off your schedule. Identify them and confront them if you want to move your production up. Number 18. Since asking questions and listening is vital to the listing process. Since asking questions and listening is vital to the listing process. Because I'm telling you guys and gals, asking questions and listening is vital. So Zach, 25 years ago, I don't know. I know Karen was there, Michael was there, I'm sure Hal was there. I did for the first time on stage at a Superstar Retreat a live listing presentation. I had never done one before. We had never demonstrated on stage. So I took a young lady, I can remember her, Patty, and can't remember his name, but I can see him, from Virginia Beach. Yes, now I remember. I wish I didn't. I invited this man and woman to be the seller. We went backstage, we worked out the specifics. There had to be an actual house. We had to create the environment, we had to create their desire to sell, we had to create their motivation to move and their equity and the price they wanted. And so then what we did is we did a live listing presentation. I said to the audience, now, you can be judgmental or you can learn. It's one or the other. I'm going to try to demonstrate what I want you to do. And I said, I think that I can make the entire listing presentation, including any and all objections they choose to bring up, and get the contract signed, and I don't think they're going to have any choice. So it took me 18 minutes from the pre-qualifying process to getting a signature on the contract. And at one point, I said, would you sign the contract, please? And they looked at each other and said, well, we have a couple of objections. I said, well, okay, tell me what your concerns are. And one of them reached down and picked up a piece of paper, and it had get Mike objections, and they'd listed like 15. Now, who's been in real estate more than an hour? Does the seller normally give you 12 to 15 objections? If they give you more than 3, stand up, shake their hand, and get out, because they are a pain in the yes or no? Yes. And if you think they're bad, then wait until you list the property for 6 months. They will drive you to do drugs and alcohol, and that's while you're attending an AA meeting, okay? Well, they pick up this paper, and I look over, and they've listed 15 objections. So I smiled, and so remember this, I smiled, I reached over, took the paper, ripped it in half, threw it in the floor, and said, would you sign the contract? And they didn't know what to do then, so they signed the contract. Well, here's what's interesting. I said to the audience, I hope some of you paid attention to the fact that all I did was ask a lot of one of the guys in the front. Well, I don't remember who it was. In fact, I think it was Steve Powers. And Steve said, Mike, I tracked how many questions you asked in 19 minutes. I said, how many? 136. I asked 136 questions in 19 minutes, all designed to get me to a contract signed. And then I said, did you notice I didn't spend a lot of time talking? No. How many questions do you think I've asked you to either respond to, raise your hand to, say something out loud, or just a question designed to make you think between yesterday and today at 10 minutes to 10? Do you think I've asked 9? Do you think I've asked 19? Do you think I've asked a lot more than that? I realistically, I think I've probably asked 300 to 400 questions so far. Because I've had people say to me, you know, I don't think you're that good a speaker. Okay. Why? Because then I ask a question. Well, all you did was ask questions. I said, well, isn't a good speaker trying to sell an audience on trying to do something? Well, yes. Did I ask you a question? You did. Did you respond? Yes, I did. Did it work? Uh-huh. Hello, dumb as a rock. Okay. Now watch. Would you agree that a great listing presentation is asking questions and listening? Yes. But here's what I want you to write down. Record a live presentation and check how many questions you're asking. And you will be shocked at how little you ask and how much you talk. Because the old theory of listing property, Steve, which in the 70s, I used to sit in these seminars and I would actually want to plug my ears. When you walk into the house, spend 10 or 15 minutes talking about yourself, who you are, what you do, where you've been. Well, what if you're a nobody that's never gone anywhere? Then take 15 minutes to talk about your company and what they've accomplished and who they are. What if your company's a no-name, non-productive company? Watch. Walk into the house and ask a lot of Valerie and Hal, I've got 3 questions I have to ask. May I ask them now? Do you guys know what question number 1 is? Yeah. Do you still want to sell your home? Number 2, do you want to price it to sell even on the market a long time? And number 3, you want me to handle the sale for you? All what? That's a hard one. It's the hardest thing for you to do is to pre-program your mind to ask questions and not talk. Number 19, one of the critical aspects of a great listing agent is your knowledge of the market. You're never going to accomplish high productivity for listings if you don't have strong market knowledge. And today, with all the analytics and all the technology, you don't even have to physically go to the house because you can preview them online in most cases, get a better view of the inside of the house than if you were walking through the house yourself. It's my knowledge of the market that makes me good. So can I give you all an example? Say yes. If you're not paying attention to what's going on July 18th, 2018, you have a major problem. Say, what is it? The market this year is making a major shift in the wrong direction nationwide. Say, why? Because nobody can afford to buy the homes that we are listing anymore because the prices have gone through the roof in 4 years, yes or no? Yes. And the income has not kept up with that. So therefore we now have, for the first time, an enormous need for price reductions. And if we don't have the courage to get price reductions, our listings are going to, and the expirations are stronger today by tenfold than they were in March or they were in December of last year. We have virtually, in the United States, priced people out of property. And as a result, the market is now shifting. Second question, do you think it's happening in your market? Yes. It's happening as we speak. Why? Because this is a cyclical business. Watch, 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. We had 5 or 6 years of a straight up market. Oh my God, the market's so great. No, it's not great. We're just trying to get back what we lost from 2007 through 2013, for God's sakes. I mean, most people are just fine. There's still millions of homes in America where the homes are underwater. So are you saying, Mike, that we're going to go into another Great Depression? No, but we're going to have a pretty serious recession. Well, when's it going to start? It's already started. You're just not paying any attention because you're living on the hype instead of knowing the market conditions. Folks, your market conditions are vital to listing property. When a seller says, well, our neighbor sold their home for $695,000, you're right, they did. And do you know when that happened? Well, it happened last November. And what month is this? This is July. And do you think there's been an adjustment in the market? Well, I don't know. Are there more homes in the market that haven't sold than have sold? Well, yeah, we're seeing a lot of signs. What is that a sign of? That's a sign that properties aren't selling. And are they not selling because there's too many or they're overpriced? This is called being a real estate agent. This is called being a strong salesperson. Now some of you go, oh, I could never talk like that. I could never be like that with a seller. Oh, that's because you only have one listing presentation per quarter. If you're going on them all the time, which you should be doing, right? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, so I want to read something to you. Is anybody catching on to the fact that taking 25, 50, 75 listings may be just a little bit harder than you thought it might be, but immensely more profitable if you do it? Okay, I want you to tell me out loud again how many listings you as an individual will take this year. Now, nobody's going to hear it when you say 4, because nobody cares, okay? So out loud on the count of 3, how many listings you take this year? 1, 2, 3. Times your average commission check. Is there a lot of money in play here, yes or no? Yes. Folks, you guys and gals make hundreds of millions of dollars in income. And then some of you say, but I only made $42,500 last year. That's because you didn't do anything I said. And those that do what I say make a lot of what? Money. It's hard work. I shared this with some of the people on the tour. Tracy, you'll get a kick out of this because I didn't get to see your group or Adam's group this year, unfortunately. So in early June, I get a phone call from New York City. It's a reporter. Hello, I'm doing an article on real estate and I was given your name. I said, well, good, how can I help? Well, it's only going to be 750 words. So what I need to do is get a synopsis of what you think is necessary to be successful in real estate today. I said, is your computer on? She goes, yes, it is. Do you have your note paper and pen ready? I do. I said, okay, write down the following. She goes, I'm ready. Hard work. Mr. Ferry, did you hang up? No. All you said was hard work. What else should I say? I said, you're a newspaper person. You do fake news, make it up. Oh, there you go, being political again. Is it hard work to be highly productive, yes or no? Let me tell you something. You go out and take 50, 75, 100, or you commit to adding 25, 50, 100 to your listing inventory over the next 3 or 4 years, you're going to work your butt off physically, mentally, and emotionally. If you're not prepared for that, you're complacent, and I'm okay with that. As long as you can look yourself in the eye and say, I am 100% satisfied with what I have. Who in this room is 100% satisfied with every aspect of their financial life? Who would like to have a better financial life? What are you going to do about it? What were the 2 words? Just a thought. Number 20. If you're going to move up in listings taken, you have to deal with what I call the 4 phases of overwhelm. And the 4 phases of overwhelm are what stop us from moving up. And there's probably 100 phases that keep us from moving up. But there's 4 phases directly related to you and I as real estate agents to keep us from moving up. Letter A, too many great leads. Too many great leads. All right, Mike, I want to take 50 listings a year. How many great leads do I have to have? 50. All right, could you, okay, now it's Friday afternoon, it's 4 o'clock, you guys have all said goodbye to each other, and you're all on your way home, you're flying or driving, and it's Monday, and you're back to work, right? Say yes. And man, I'm going to do it this week, man. I'm going to do it like it's never been done before. Well, you're committed 100% starting on Monday to do hard work and learn and take it and go do it, right? Say yes. All right. Could you find between Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, if you had to, could you find one seller that has to sell? Yes. Well, then go ahead. But what if you find 3? Oh my God, I found 3. I don't know if I can handle 3. All right, then give 2 away, handle 1. But if you're overwhelmed by leads, all it means is you've never had enough experience dealing with multiple leads. That's all it means. Okay, overwhelmed, letter B. Too many great appointments. The truth is, you can't have too many great appointments. Now, I use this example all the time. If your broker says to you, every single person in the company is going to get a listing appointment between today and Friday at 3 o'clock, and if you don't, you lose your license for life. Could you get an appointment? Yes. Well, then why don't you get one for yourself? Is anybody within 5 miles of your office going to sell their home in the next couple days? Yes. Are they calling you? No. Are you calling them? Yes. Liar. Okay? So you're even. They're not calling you, you're not calling them, and then somebody else gets a listing and then you want to be mad. Right, folks, if you do your job, you're going to have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, or in Josh's case, 12, 15 good appointments a week. Lucy, what's the most listings you've ever taken in 1 week? 14. And that's probably on 15 appointments. Josh, most listings in 1 week? 12 to 15. Bernie, most listings in a week? 9. John, most listings in a week? 16. Hal, most listings in a week? 5 or 6. Now watch. I don't care what number is brought up. It's a lot of money, yes or no? If you're overwhelmed by appointments, we have to spend some time together helping you shape this wonderful computer called a mind so you can accept succeeding. Overwhelmed, letter C. Too many listings. Oh my gosh, I have too many listings. I have 2. I listed my house and my mother's. They're both overpriced. And short sales. So Karen, how many listings do you have right now? 36, okay? And that is way down for you, because she normally carries 75 to 80. But the problem is the market's gotten so good she can't keep the inventory up. What a wonderful problem to have. Neil, how many listings right now? 28. And they sell as fast as he lists them. Hal, how many listings right now? 18, good. Josh, how many listings? 125. Oh, 125. Oh, how do you do it? Watch, one at a time. If you're overwhelmed by too many listings, again, we need to spend some time together. And then letter D, too many commission checks. Isn't that interesting? People are overwhelmed by a lot of money. So last year, we go to the Palazzo and the Wynn when we're in town a couple nights a week. We love the restaurants. They have wonderful restaurants in the Palazzo and Wynn, and we go there all the time. And they have some magnificent jewelry stores. And as you know, I like to decorate my wife Sabrina like a Christmas tree, okay? And you know, people say, why do you buy all those diamonds? Because I can. And they go up in value, much more than some of the real estate we own, which is great, okay? So we walk by this one store that we like a lot. Oh my God, we walk in the store, and of course the manager knows this. We said, how big is that diamond ring in the window? He said, 22 carats, high quality. I'd like to put it on my wife's finger. So what they do in those cases, they close the store, lock the doors, bring security out. They have to, okay? And they bring the ring out, and they put it on Serena's finger, and I want to share with you, that ring was about this big. I had to put my sunglasses on, okay? So I said to the gal, how much is it? She said, $3 million. I said, would you sell it VA? I'd be willing to join the service tonight if I could buy this ring VA. So we said thank you, and they waved goodbye. Next night, we walk by the window, the ring's gone. So we walk in to the manager, where's the ring? He said, a guy comes in about midnight with his girlfriend. He was like 68, she was like 32, okay? And he looked at the ring and he bought it and paid cash. I said, you're kidding. She said, no, he just took out the money and just... Now, that is not complacency, yes or no? Number 21, the key to handling a lot of listings is one word, delegation. The key to handling a lot of listings is one word, delegation. Or in essence, the support team that you have around you is as important as anything else. Now, are you saying, Mike, that I have to have a big team? Well, if you're going to take and service 50, 25, 75 listings at a time, or you're going to take 30, 50, 100 listings a year, you're going to probably have to have an assistant. Would you agree with that, yes or no? And you can call them anything, listing manager, listing coordinator. You're going to have somebody to help you, okay? That's it. You're going to get a certain number of automatic calls from your signs. You're probably going to have either a part-time or full-time showing agent. That's normal. But I'm talking about the fact you have to have, if you're in Southern California, a high-quality escrow company. If you're throughout any place in the United States, high-quality title representation, high-quality mortgage representation. You have to surround yourself with great people that you can delegate to, because these people's job is to take care of while you're out creating. Yes or no? Yes. All right, so I want you to write down this question. Why do I fight delegation? Why do I fight delegation? Because I'm telling you guys and gals, it is the absolute difference between high productivity and the rest of the world. Delegation is the ability to let go, give away, give somebody authority, give somebody responsibility, get somebody else involved so you can go do your job. I'm very lucky. I can delegate almost everything to Anna, my assistant, and I don't have to think about it again. So I can go do what I have to do, which is try to help some of you become more involved with us or do a better job or find new of you to become part of my company. My job is selling. My job is not doing that stuff. We have a wonderful team back at our office, and a lot of them are here with us for the next couple of days, which is, I was great to see them all this morning. And our job is to delegate so we can get more things done, yes or no? Yes. Delegation is to give away, give up authority, give somebody else responsibility. But you got to figure out why you fight it. Now, I hear this from ladies. Don't get mad. It's not a lady-man deal, but it's a lady-man deal. You've already raised your husband. You've raised your kids. You're used to raising things. Sellers don't need to be raised. They need to be sold. Let go. Delegate. And I hear this all the time. And you never hear, watch, ladies operate from emotion. Men operate from logic. Which one is better? Depends on whether you're a man or a lady. All right, ladies think emotion is critical, men think logic is critical. But if you become emotionally involved with your client, it eats up your energy so you can't do more deals. But if you're so logical that you don't have any type of relationship with your client, you'll never get the referrals to do more deals. So the key is the balance of the emotion and the logic. Or asking a lot of come on. Sign up for 50-minute coaching sessions if you want to see what we do. Buy your dance tickets at the store. Hey, tomorrow night's party. Okay, now watch. When you walk in the door, you're given a drink ticket. We buy the first drink. And that's probably, in most cases, in these hotels, 12 to 15 bucks. We serve food so you can eat while you drink. We paid a lot of money to have a great band, but we charge you 20 bucks. 20 bucks? Yeah, 20. Watch, you have one in your pocket. Who has at least $20 on them? Good, go buy a dance ticket for tomorrow night. Besides, I don't see my wife. We're gonna celebrate her birthday tomorrow night. Tomorrow's Serena's birthday. She gets mad when I bring it up. So we're gonna have a lot of fun tomorrow night. So we want you to buy a dance ticket, but unfortunately it's limited to 1,000 people. Go buy the ticket. Bernie Gallerini, John and Maria Hoffman, Michelle Sauer, Greg Sisson, Cindy Stewart, David Vanoy, meet me right here at the break, please. In addition, I need to see Josh and Hal over here at the stage, please. I gotta tell you, I don't know. My wife must be lurking in the background. Hi, honey. Shh. I don't know if I've ever had a day 2 morning of the retreat where I did not want to do the retreat as much as I did not want to walk out on the stage this morning. I mean, it was from 5 o'clock until I walked out. It was not a fun morning. Okay, we had about 100 major issues, and I did not want to do it. When I walked out on the stage, I said to myself, they deserve the best of Mike. Your sellers deserve the best of you. See you after the break. Okay? Thank you, Brady.